Hey guys, Adam here, bringing you another entry into my critically acclaimed The History of series, where I ramble for multiple minutes about stuff you already know. Now, before we begin, I'd like to thank you all for supporting this series. The last episode on Powerful Mail got overwhelmingly positive reception, and all you guys saying nice things in the comments is the only thing keeping me from crying myself to sleep every night. Anyways, sit back, relax, grab yourself some snacks, maybe a soda as well, and watch as I take you through the history of Fire Emblem. Now, as many of you know, the very first video game was Disgaea, Hour of Darkness for the PS2, developed by Shigeru Miyamoto in 1964. The game was highly successful, earning high praise from critics and selling over 1 billion copies on its first week of release. This caught the eye of the game developer and former janitor at Microsoft, Yusuke Kozaki. In an interview with Nintendo Power, Kozaki says, "I went over to Miyamoto's house and I said, 'Hey, is it okay if I steal your idea?' And Miyamoto just said, 'Yeah, sure.' And so, the development of the first Fire Emblem game started. After a few years of development, Kozaki decided to show off the game to his friend, Rodney Kojima, not to be confused with his identical twin brother, Hideo Kojima, who is known for creating the Ape Escape trilogy. Kojima got bored of the game within 10 minutes and decided to pitch a different idea to Kozaki. Kozaki said he would help Kojima with his idea, but only if he could put his own OCs into the game. Kojima agreed, and Kozaki abandoned his original project and teamed up with Kojima to create Super Smash Bros. Melee. The game supposedly took 20 years to develop, 10 of those years being spent solely on the mechanic where Mewtwo can confusion people through the stage. It released on the Nintendo GameCube in 2001 and became the best-selling game of all time. However, despite the game's success, Kozaki left the series in the hands of Kojima, while Kozaki went back to developing the first game in the Fire Emblem series. The development of this game was a rocky road, and I'm not talking about the ice cream. After Rodney Kojima told him how terrible his game was, he decided to scrap the whole thing and start over from scratch. He wanted to make this game appeal to as many people as possible, and felt he could not do it alone, so he hired a bunch of other people to help him create his masterpiece. Unfortunately, everyone he hired just so happened to be a bunch of literal chimpanzees who knew literally nothing about game design, except for one man, Satoru Iwata, more commonly known as the Jesus Christ of video games. Iwata and Kozaki pretty much manned the entire project. They took inspiration from many other successful video games. As said before, the gameplay was inspired by Disgaea, but at the same time the game was being developed, a new series was starting to grow popular, Persona. The first game in the series, Persona 3, was released in 2006 for the PS2. It had a feature called Social Links, which allowed you to bond with other characters to make your character stronger. This feature is what inspired what is objectively the most important thing in the Fire Emblem series, the support system. When asked if this was true, Kozaki said, "Honestly, I just wanted to marry Cherche. Yeah, Persona 3 did have an impact, but I just wanted to marry Cherche and I thought, hey, let's make this a game mechanic." Kozaki and Iwata spent years developing the game, and the result was the first game in the Fire Emblem series, Fire Emblem Awakening, aka the one people hate because it had Tharja in it. The game was a commercial and critical success, selling over 12 copies and getting massive praise from critics. Popular game critic John Schnatter said about Fire Emblem Awakening, "This is the best game I've ever played, 7 out of 10. It had established Fire Emblem as one of Nintendo's most beloved series. However, after Fire Emblem Awakening, we enter what is known as the Dark Age of Fire Emblem." After the success of Awakening, Kozaki had gotten ambitious. He wanted to make another Fire Emblem game with new features, new story, and new mechanics. Fire Emblem Fates, aka the one people hate because it had Tharja in it. Unfortunately, despite his ambition, the execution was not fantastic. According to a Nintendo Direct, the game was supposed to have more choices that affect the gameplay, even though in the actual game there was only one choice that was pretty much decided for you the second you picked up the game. The story had an interesting premise, but in execution it was not very good. However, the game was still well received by critics for its improvements over Awakening's gameplay and the addition of cool new features like My Castle and the capture mechanic. Also Felicia. Felicia was pretty cool. Despite the praise from critics, fans of Fire Emblem considered Fates to be an abomination and an affront to the franchise because Fire Emblem fans don't know how to have fun. Kazaki knew now that, in order to please the fans, he couldn't do the same thing twice. He had to try something different. So he looked for inspiration in other games, mainly Fate Grand Order, the game where you pay money to get the character you want and get Guild Array instead. And so, he created Fire Emblem Heroes, aka the one people hate because it had 3 Tharjas in it, and the one I hate because they still won't give me Spring Catria. This one made like $1 billion because people are insane and will spend large sums of money to get one character. Like that one idiot that spent $40 trying to get Spring Lucina. Oh wait, that idiot is me, I did that. After Heroes there was Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia, aka the one people loved because it didn't have Tharja in it. This game was completely different from the games before, but in a good way. Critics didn't like it as much as the previous games, but Fire Emblem fans considered it a fantastic game. Then there was Fire Emblem Warriors, which was a bit controversial with its character roster, but still a fun game. But now, no one knows what will come next for the Fire Emblem franchise. A new game was announced for the Nintendo Switch, but we have no information on that game as of the scripting of this video. Will it be the end of the so-called Dark Age of Fire Emblem, which doesn't actually exist, by the way? Or will it be a repeat of what happened with Fire Emblem Fates, where people get mad because it's not exactly what they want? We don't know. All we can really do is wait and see. This has been the history of Fire Emblem. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.